Hi folks, this is Jake. Hope you're okay. We're continuing our series on advice for pastors, and hope you're okay today. And let's continue. Sorry about the interruption to yesterday. We had. Sorry about my tie. My tie's a bit. But we had some Iranians come for tea, and so I had to leave due to the last video last night. So we're going to continue to do recording today, and we're continuing to talk about advice for pastors. Before I begin, let's pray. Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you for this day and for your love and grace, and I just pray that you would use these videos for your glory. Amen. We were talking about taking a funeral, and we were talking about the importance of taking control of the service. You know, be confident. You need to be in control, because a lot of people won't know what to do at a funeral. So you need to be the one that really has everything under control and is organised, really. So when you get to the front, you need to tell the people to sit down so they know what to do. You need to make sure you have a good ordered, structured service. These are just common sense things that you should know already. But I just want to talk about when you actually do your talk. What should you talk about? Should you just preach the gospel about heaven and hell? I think if you do that, you'll find that after the service a lot of people will come up to you and probably punch you in the mouth, because they're grieving for their family, and if you tell them that they're going to hell and that their family's in hell, you're just going to get you're just going to end up having a riot on your hands at the end of the funeral service. The best thing to do, what I do, is when you've been to visit the family, and they'll talk about their spouse, and as you hear and talk about the spouse, you will find things in their life that you can use as a sounding board to find a Bible verse that God can give you, if you ask God, that will fit in with that aspect of that person's life. So I'll give you an example. I remember doing a funeral, and they said that this elderly gentleman loved roses and liked to drink beer. Right? So at the funeral, I took a rose with me, and I took a can of beer. Right? And I preached upon how Christ, the rose is a symbol of Christ's love, that the thorns are a symbol of Christ dying on the cross, and that he died for us so that we can be close to Jesus, close to God. The redness is a symbol of Christ's blood. And then the beer, I talked about Christ quenches our thirst, Christ gives us an eternal joy. And so I was able to get the gospel in, but I wasn't preaching at the congregation that was coming to the funeral. I was only sharing about their loved one. And after the funeral service, they really appreciated it. They really valued that I used the rose, that I used the illustration of the beer, because that reminded them of their loved one. So listen to the story. Another time I did a funeral, there was a guy who was a real man's man, a real hard worker, a real fighter, really had tough times in his life and really battled through difficulties in life. And so I had a passage that talked about that Jesus Christ looked, I think it was in Hebrews or somewhere, where he looked to the cross, and I talked about that Christ was a fighter, that he was a man's man, that he went to the cross not as a weakling, but someone who was willing to face the difficulties, just like the person who's passed away. So that, I think that's a good way of getting the truth about Jesus and what he's done for them by hearing the family and the story of this deceased person, and finding something in their life that you can latch onto in the Bible and then bring it in, and they're going to listen to you more if you do that. But if you start pointing your finger and saying you're a sinner, you go to hell, you're heading for a riot at the end of the service. You've got to be sensitive. It doesn't mean say compromise, but you've got to be sensitive. And you know, people do need comfort, people do need encouragement, and so, you know, I pray about what God wants you to say, pray about the Bible verse that God's given you, and then pray about how you can link that in with the person's death, and that's a help. Okay. Alright, we're going to talk about a few more things in the last video about sermon preparation, dealing with heretics, one or two other things about pastoring. Okay, we're going to round it off now in the last video on here. Alright.